Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mr. Busy.
Good morning.
Yes, Maxi Daniel, thank you for joining us. Madam Rael, shukran kwa kuingia. Georgina, I see you. Evelyn, thank you guys. There are a few guys who are supposed to come in. Some panelists have not arrived yet, so we are giving them time to come in. So just be comfortable, find a comfortable place, set yourself before we begin, yeah?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome, thank you. So this is Haru Modena. I'll be your moderator for today's session. So I request maybe you can start the recording when we about to start the session, because I feel if you start the recording now, you'll have some extra unused time. That's my suggestion. So you can just pause it, then you start once we are starting the session.
Yes, indeed, Mr. Aaron. Thank you for that. Shukran.
You never know, maybe your next partner is from this call, or you can also unmute yourself. So let's do this quick check-in. We have remaining very few minutes to finalize the quick check-in. Anyone else to take over? I can see Maxi have talked, George, we have managed to talk, Oliver. Have you talked Oliver Musimbo? Teddy? I can see someone by the name Galax A02. We will need at least to hear from you. Also, there is Elma. We love to hear from you, guys. Come on, let's do this. Yeah. Don't be left out. We're about to start and we like to know each other before we start the session. So if you have not introduced yourself, we have remained with 5 minutes for the introduction before we officially commemorating this special day for our sisters. Okay, so I can see that we have all introduced ourselves. So just to quickly proceed to this session, I have some few announcements with you guys. Announcement number 1, we are requesting if you are not talking, please mute yourself. If you're not talking, please mute yourself so that we avoid unnecessary noise during the discussion or the dialogue. 2, we are requesting that also during the conversation, if you have anything to say, just raise your hands. I'm observing and I will give you opportunity to talk. So let's kind of do it in a professional way. Also, let's respect everyone's opinion. Every opinion is right. Yeah, so let's trigger dialogue in a very professional way. For the speakers, we will appreciate if we can see your faces during your presentation or when you are talking. But also if you have poor internet connectivity, no worries. We understand sometimes you are from places with a poor internet connection, but we will really love to see your smiles and how you guys will be doing some presentation. So let's do another check-in specific for speakers. Speakers, if you're in, raise your hand or unmute yourself and check in.
Hello, good morning.
Morning to you.
This is Samuel Omondi, clinician from Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Teaching and Referral Hospital. And I was one of the speakers. I'll be talking about management of GBV survivors. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Omondi. I can see from my screen that your name appear as TechnoSpark. So maybe for just formality purpose, we are requesting if you can rename yourself with your exact first name. It will really help us, or me also from my side, to support all speakers. So if you are a speaker, please rename yourself with your first name so that it helps me from the other side.
Okay.
If that's okay?
Awesome.
Awesome. Awesome. So, for those who are asking why we are meeting virtual today, it's because we are commemorating International Day for. So we are commemorating International Sex Workers Day virtually. And from our conversation, we will be discussing more, or we'll be triggering conversation more in how best sex workers can access justice. So this webinar, it's purely focusing on three things. Number one, we are more of connecting each other within this specific topic. Number two, we are aiming to trigger conversation and bring these awesome idea, suggestions, and some of the policy brief for the co-creation purpose. Then the last one, we are aiming to spearhead this kind of collaboration at the national level. We never know for the future purpose. So this is the essence for this webinar, and you are all welcome. And from my list, I can see we have 4 speakers and we have around 4 topics. Due to time, we would like to give maximum at least 10 to 15 minutes to each speaker to do your presentation or your talk. So topic number 1, it's more of criminal justice access in Kenya with focus to sex workers. Question 2, it's more of social injustice with focus in discrimination and homophobia. So question 1 will be handled by Ben Indimuli. If you're in, please, Ben, raise your hand or unmute yourself and say hi. Ben, are you with us? Okay, I can see maybe he's not with us. Number 2, the question number 2, it's more of social injustice, where we focus more on the discrimination and homophobia part of it. And the speaker will be Georgina Wasike. Georgina, just say hi if you're with us. Georgina, are you with us? Just say hi if you're with us. Georgina? Okay, as we wait for Georgina. Oh,
I'm here.
Okay, thank you so much.
I'm here. I'm having network issues. Yeah, I'm sorry guys, I'm having some network issues, and again I'm at work, so you are going to excuse me at some point. So for those who are not here, I had introduced myself. I'm Georgina Wasike from Bungoma County. I'm the convener for Kandui Social Justice Center, and I'm also a counselor psychologist at a certain facility in Bungoma County, which I'll not mention. And I am one of the presenters today. I'll be presenting on discrimination and homophobia. which are just social injustices. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Georgina. Okay. Ben, I can see Ben is joining, he's still connected. Okay. So the question number 3 will focus more on the management of gender-based violence cases. And this question will be tackled by Samuel Omondi. Samuel Omondi, are you connected?
Yes, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Samuel Omondi. Then the last question will focus more on the barriers in accessing to justice and pathway to social justice. This session will be tackled by Rachel Akoth. Rachel Akoth, are you with us? Rachel Akoth, just unmute yourself and say hi so that we spot you. Rachel Akoth, are you with us? Rachel Akoth, are you with us? Okay, I can see maybe she's not with us. I will let me tell Evelyn to do follow up concerning Rachel Akoth if she's with us or not. Now, just to share the flow for this session, it's simple for those who are joining in. We are requesting you to do a quick check-in, introduce yourself, like what's your name, where are you zooming from, a brief introduction about yourself, and use the chat box to introduce yourself. Also, feel free to network via the chat box, exchange contacts. This is your time to connect. So we have already achieved goal number 1, connecting. Now we are heading to goal number 2, co-creating. So for the co-creation part, it's purely triggering the discussion. And for this, we have 4 speakers. We'll be giving each one of you 10 minutes each to do your presentation, to do your talk, and to offer your speech to us. So we will spend 40 minutes for this part, and I'll be so strict with time. So please, if you hear my voice anyway, just know that you have anyway some few minutes. After the speaker session, the next part will be open session for all the participants. So all the participants, you will have an opportunity to engage in this conversation after all the speakers have done with their presentation. Then we'll be heading to the next part of the question and answers. So also participants, you will have opportunity to interact with speakers, ask them questions, engage, and we do this kind of co-creation. Then the last part, it's purely about the call to action, which will be act more of the collaborative part of it. Yeah, are we good? So let's start with speaker number 1, Mr. Ben. We have been told that you'll be tackling topic focused more on the criminal justice system in Kenya, with a specific focus on sex workers. So Mr. Ben, you're free to take over this session. Back to you, Ben.
Good morning.
Morning to you. Welcome.
My name is Ben Indimuli. I am a practitioner. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I practice majorly in Kisumu and its environs. And I have a specific bias to the criminal aspect of it. Now, am I introducing myself because I was meant to understand that I'm number 4 on the program, from the program?
Yes, you are free to do your introduction, your name, at least brief profile about yourself, and tackle that topic. At the moment, we just do a random engagement with the speakers because we understand some speakers have not checked in, and because of time, we'll just do a random engagement. Yeah, so take over.
Okay. So I was meant to understand that I was to, Mr. Polycarp informed me that I was to take the group through the issue of criminal justice system in Kenya. Basically, the criminal law in Kenya, firstly, for introduction purposes, we largely inherited it from the United Kingdom. And we have since, it has since evolved indigenously. The same is primarily governed by the penal code. And the penal code basically outlines the offenses which attract criminal liability in Kenya. Going forward, especially with regards to the sex workers, the penal code is outlawed as it stands sex work in Kenya. So sex work in Kenya largely operates without any firm legal foundation. And this is why it gives rise to abuse by the authorities when the sex workers are found or nabbed or arrested. There's no clear regime regarding the sex workers in Kenya. And this is why it has driven the practice underground, and this is why it makes sex work susceptible to abuse of rights. Basically, I think that's it for me. If somebody has a question or something to do with that, I can be able to tackle it. I don't think there's much. I don't want to take the group through the specific offenses, specific law that guides, because I know all of us have different biases. But if there's any question, I think maybe they can be put to me. I can be able to answer them by the group. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. George, for your very brief engagement. We highly appreciate. Okay, so the next speaker you can take over from the list I used. So we are inviting you to engage us, Mr. Georgina Wasike. You'll be talking about social injustice from the sex workers, as I know that majority of sex workers are facing a lot of injustice. Majority of sex workers are so silent and they're hiding a lot of issues they are going. So Georgina, you talk more concerning the discrimination and the homophobia part of it. And you'll be giving a kind of insight to Ben, so that he can understand some of these indiscrimination and injustice from the sex workers. So Georgina Wasike, floor is yours. Georgina Wasike, are you connected? Georgina Wasike? Okay, it seems like Georgina Wasike is not connected. Georgina, are you connected? If yes, just unmute yourself and talk. I can see Georgina Wasike is not with us. And because Georgina Wasike is not with us, let me just proceed to the next speaker because of time. So Mr. Samuel Omondi, if you are with us, you can take over the session. And you'll be talking more concerning the management of GBV cases. As we all know, we have been facing a lot of, the sex workers have been facing a lot of issues, mainly the gender violence issues, gender-based violence issues, and majority of them have been so silent. So can you tell us more concerning the management of these kind of gender-based violence cases? And how can you encourage sex workers to report these cases? Are they reporting? If they're reporting these cases, are these cases being solved? And if not, what should we do? So give us more insights. And I can see Benny is here. So Benny, you'll be like, you'll be like one of our main experts. Later on, you'll get some insights and you'll be engaging more. Yeah, so Samuel Omondi, are you with us? You can take over the session. Just unmute yourself and proceed.
Yes, I mean, so once again, thank you for having me. And I'll just enable my video so that you can be able to see me. But then I'll just disable it because I'm also having network challenges.
Awesome.
So my name is Samuel Omondi. Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you. Awesome.
Okay, thank you. So once again, I'm grateful to join you in this discussion. My name is Samuel Omondi. I'm a clinical officer by profession, currently working at Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Teaching and Referral Hospital under the HIV Prevention Care and Treatment Program. And so at Jaramogi, we have a fully fledged GBVRC center with staff who are well-trained and dedicated in handling. And so in terms of management, I'll just walk you through step by step on how we handle gender-based violence cases from the time they report to the clinic until when we report we move forward with the cases to the courts and see them through. So from the GBVRC reception, this is where we do the registration of the client who have been violated. We open a file for them. And this is where also we collect the biodata of the clients. From there, we move to the triaging or the triaging and counseling. And this is where we check the vital signs of these clients. That is the blood pressure, the temperature, weight, height. And this is also where we respond to any kind of crisis, because we find that the clients will come really bleeding and need immediate attention. So this is where we take care of any form of crisis before we move forward. And so the management is not a one size fits all. So we review it on a case by case. And from there, that is where the client is also debriefed on all the steps that are going to take place in the clinic. And also this is the point whereby the client is basically informed on every aspect of care so that the client can be able to give informed consent. From there, we head to an HIV test for the clients who have been sexually violated. And for the HIV test, we go through a pre-test, the actual HIV test, and there's a post-test counseling session. So from there, we move on to now the consultation room, where you either find the doctor or the clinical officer. And this is where the client signs a consent form. A history is taken. This is whereby just the doctor takes a detailed account of what transpired. And this also guides the clinician or the doctor in terms of examination and even collecting of samples for forensic analysis. From the history taking, we go to the physical examination, and this is a thorough physical examination to be able to document all the injuries, and this also enables the doctor to be able to tie the story to what really presents on the patient. And so from the examination, we head to the specimen collection, and this is where we collect samples, for example, blood samples for lab tests, and also We collect, like for the ladies, we take a high vaginal swab for those who have been sexually violated. From the specimen collection, the ones we take for the lab test, we also, this is the point whereby we also collect forensic samples, which will also assist in building a case against the perpetrators. And for the forensic evidence collection, this is whereby we collect things like the clothings, which are maybe teared or even bloody, nail scrapings, foreign particles on the gland. And from there now, we head to planning of the treatment, basically for the gland. And this may involve things like post-exposure prophylaxis, STI treatment, even prevention of pregnancy for ladies. This is also whereby a prescription is made for maybe medication. And from this point now, the client is referred to the second session of counseling, whereby the client is taken through trauma counseling and adherence counseling, because normally the medication is given to prevent HIV, pregnancy, STI. And so adherence counseling is really important to make sure this client takes the medication well. From there now, there's also psychosocial support and follow-up planning in terms of the TCAs planned for this client, or the next steps whereby the client is expected to come back for the clinic for checkup. From there, the client is taken through some just basic legal advice by the paralegal officer, and also facilitate linkage to legal support. So from there, now the client heads to the pharmacy, and back to the test. This is whereby also for the HIV test, if the client turns positive, the client is also linked to the CCC for further management. But if the client is negative now, the client just moves to the pharmacy, and this is where further the client is given adherence counseling and medication counseling with the pharmaceutical officer, then prescribed medications like PEP, emergency contraceptives, STI drugs, which were prescribed earlier with the doctor in the consultation room. From there now, it's a stage whereby we consider what we call it pharmacovigilance, and this is whereby we just monitor the client on these drugs to make sure that if there are any side effects, they are reported early and they're managed appropriately. And so that's just in a nutshell an overview on the kind of management to give at our center. So I'll also touch on briefly on what to do and what not to do after one experiences violence, and to narrow down sexual violence. So number one, what you need to do is you need to report to the nearest hospital immediately. That is for management, because you find that some other clients report late, maybe after 3 days. And at that point, you'll find that either the evidence to be collected, for forensic evidence to be collected, has been distorted, or even the client cannot benefit from some preventive measures like post-exposure prophylaxis. The number two is to report to the police and record a statement. So what not to do is, one, do not take a bath or comb your hair. Number two, do not change, wash, or throw away your clothes. Instead, wrap them in a khaki bag, clean lasso or cotton cloth, and take them to the hospital. Avoid plastic bags. Number three is, do not remove anything where the rape occurred. And lastly, do not pass urine or stool, or even wipe the genital area. And if you must pass urine, collect some in a clean container and take it to the hospital. So, and at this juncture, I think I'm done with the discussion, and I just briefly touch on challenges we're facing in terms of survivors getting justice in terms of violence cases. Number one, I would say we need to really educate the society and create awareness in terms of violence, because so many people are violated, but they don't really understand or even know that they've been violated. And for the health workers, we also need some training and even mentorship in terms of how to handle key populations when it comes to violent cases. Number two is community interference, whereby you find that when a person has been violated, there's an aspect of the community chipping in and trying to intervene. And this tends to derail the efforts made in terms of getting justice for those who've been violated. The other thing is we really need to tackle the issue of stigma and discrimination, because it's also an issue. We also need to do something about our laws, which are really punitive, and they're not favorable in terms of KPs and even sex work. And so you find that these groups of people really tend to fear really accessing justice, because they think that they are going to fall prey to our law enforcement officers. And so I do appreciate that much is being done, and I think we can really join hands and make sure that all violence cases are really reported and justice is served. So thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Samuel. We highly appreciate. From your talk, we managed to gather some few key learning insights as you are giving more learning opportunity to the GBV survivors, how they can report and the safety measures and some of the challenges and opportunity. What I can see, there's a lot of stigmatization and some of the laws which are not favoring some of the sex workers. So there's an opportunity where we can all tap into that, whereby we need to educate our society. We need to sensitize our society, and we need to have a kind of information sharing so that they can learn more how to report these cases and the process of how you can take these perpetrators to the bars. Thank you so much. So before I go to the Rachel Akot, who will be talking concerning the barriers in accessing justice and pathway to social justice, let me invite Georgina Wasike to talk about discrimination and homophobia and the social injustice. Georgina Wasike, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you so much,
Thank you
Georgina.
so much.
We are experiencing, you have a kind of an echo from your side. If you are using a multiple Zoom platform, we are requesting that you mute one platform to avoid the background, the reflection of the noise. But you're most welcome, Georgina. Take over.
Are you still getting the echo?
No, we don't get the echo now.
Oh, okay, thank you so much. I'm having issues with my speakers, so I had connected my phone audio, but I'm hoping you guys can get me well.
Yes, we can hear you well.
I was going to present on discrimination and homophobia. And as I told you guys, I hope you are going to excuse me for some time because I'm at work. I will have to be attending here and still attend to the patients. So yeah, thank you. So discrimination, I am also going to talk like, I will talk like a healthcare provider and also as a human rights defender, because as I had told you, I am a convener for the Kandui Social Justice Center, and I'm also a healthcare provider. So I wish you could help me share my screen, but seemingly I cannot share my screen, so I'll just have to struggle on this end.
The ICT button is here, that you can proceed.
Okay, thank you. So I had began with definition of terms of social injustices, and social injustices are simply the violation of the rights of another person or people in our day in, day out interactions. So like the key population in health, in our health field, we call them the key population, the healthcare providers. We refer to the sex workers as the key population. So, and discrimination is treatment of an individual or group to their disadvantage. So like how the sex workers are treated in our day-to-day interactions, and homophobia. Phobia is simply the fear or dislike of something. So homo is a
Sorry, I think we have lost you. Hello, we cannot hear you anymore. Ms. Georgina, we cannot hear you anymore. Are you connected? Ms. Georgina, are you connected? We cannot hear you anymore. Sorry, guys, as you know, sometimes we usually have some of these technological errors which they are above our limitation. We cannot engage anymore, but let me invite the next speaker because of time. But before I invite the next speaker, I would like to ask if Francis Ochieng is with us. We would love to hear a live experience from some of the sex workers. So Francis Ochieng, are you connected with us? We love to hear your experience. As we have seen that Mr. Ben talked some few points, and we have also another speaker talk about the learning opportunity, how the reporting mechanism, the safety measures. So we would like to get a live experience, like how easy it is for you to report any kind of gender-based violence. Was it easy? Or what challenges did you face when you are reporting this kind of abuses? So Francis Ocheng or Bruno Mark, we are inviting you to do a live experience talk. Are you together with us?
Yeah, I'm here. I would like to share some experience. There are a lot of challenges concerning the health sector, and the police sector. And again, when I start, I'll start with the law sector first. In case I'm having issues as a male sex worker, maybe I've been assaulted by my customer, and I need to report these cases. So when I go to the station, the approach first that I get at the station is not that welcoming, in as much they've been sensitized on the GBMSM and the male sex workers issues. There's still stigma out there, how they handle these cases. Even if there is a GBRV desk, there's still issues. The first challenge that we have is only the sexual violence that you don't pay. The other violence you have to pay. And for you to get maybe somebody who will stand in for you as a doctor, or maybe when you have a case and you need somebody to stand in for you, you'll have to pay money for this form to be filled. This is a big challenge to the MSW, not only for me, but to the entire MSW. When I go to the issues of medical issues. When I go to the clinics and I need these forms to be filled, how the clinicians and doctors look at me, there's still stigma out there. In as much the organizations are trying to sensitize them, talk to them, and teach them on the GBMSM issues, there's still stigma out there. They look at you, they call you names, maybe you are a witch. There are a lot of names that you feel mentally, you feel disturbed. So when you look at these things and you think, how will the police go about this? If you come to the health sectors where you think maybe you will be helped, they look down upon you. So you wonder, where will I get help? So we are still back still back like those days, in as much there's a lot of sensitization done and organizations are trying out there. We are still lagging behind. There's still stigma, there's still discrimination, and you have to bribe somebody to stand in for you. So we feel left out as the MSW. We don't feel like we get the justice that we need. Now, if it comes in terms of law, maybe I need a lawyer to back me up. You will see he will be like 50-50. He won't back me up because he says it's not logical for a male to be selling sex out there. They know females should be sex. They are the ones to be selling sex out there. So when a male maybe is raped and he has a case and he needs somebody to represent him in court, they charges you more, and they lag, like it's like you are begging them to help you. So it's not that welcoming. I can't say we are there yet. There's still stigma. There's still we are still behind. Yeah, back to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Just to summarize your life experience, I've been observing that you will be talking a lot concerning the stigmatization and the discrimination part of it for the MSW, male sex workers. Thank you so much for this talk. So, so for my side, I have only two names. That is Francis Ocheng and Bruno Mark. I don't know if the other one is with us before I give this space to the next speaker.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Yes,
you can take over.
I'm here. So, in addition to what George has said, yeah, in addition to what George has said, we are still behind a lot. Although we have sensitized a lot, as a sex workers, we face a lot. You in the health part of it and security part of it, you find it that when you go to access for justice, and then the way you get, some of us like to cross best. So in addition to what George said, we find it difficult when me myself, let me say, I prefer myself as she, and now I have wear my clothes, I wear that clothes. So when I go to access for any health services, or I've gone to access for any justice, we still find it that it is not easy. You just face the discrimination, the stigma, and when you face the stigma, even talking out, what yourself and want to say, or what you want to report, that it is a bit a problem. And then this goes to us even as sex workers a lot. Although we sensitize, but we don't sensitize the majority. We sensitize on the ground, not looking from where the foundation starts from. It's better you start from where the foundation starts from, even though people relocate or people are removed from jobs. So we find it difficult because sometimes you find that when you go to seek health service, it is not the same health provider that you find this time. It's the one you're going to find the other time. Or it is not that police officer that you find this time. You find the next day you go there. So that makes us now lag behind. So the moment you go there, you find another one. You feel that it's not secure. It is not secure. You find another one that you are not. So I think we face a lot, and on our side, we need a lot. As sex workers, we have so many challenges. So now back to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Though your voice is a little bit breaking, we could not hear you properly. Maybe you can try to turn off your video and talk, because I feel that maybe the video is lowering the quality of engagement. But thank you so much. Something I have noted from you is that there's a main challenge in access to justice for male sex workers, and also there's a high police harassment, which is one of the main social justice affecting some of the male sex workers. Now, for this, I think it will lead us to the next exact point from this live experience. Now, allow me to invite again Georgina to talk about this social injustice. Georgina, are these social injustice really? Can you tell us more about it? And can you tell some of the survivors, victims who are with us, how best they can address these kind of challenges? Georgina, are you with us? Georgina, are you with us? Georgina, are you with us? Okay, maybe Georgina is not connected again. Maybe she's having challenges. I'll give it back. I will give mandate to Evelyn to do follow-up. Then Evelyn, you will be updating us. Now, allow me to welcome the next speakers, Rachel Akoth. Rachel, you have heard some of these challenges from these live experiences from some of the MSW sharing the challenges mainly they were saying issues of stigmatization, discrimination, access to justice, and a kind of police harassment. And someone was saying a lot concerning like they're being charged to be given forms to report their own cases. So Rachel, we welcome you to validate these kind of challenges and also to share us more barriers in access to justice and pathways to social justice. Rachel Akoth, are you with us?
Okay, good morning. Are you getting me?
Yeah, we're getting you so clearly. Most welcome.
Thank you. Okay, my name is Rachel Akoth. I am a police officer at Kondele Police Station. I'm currently attached at the gender care desk. Hello?
Hello, you're the right person for this session, actually. Welcome now.
Thank you. Okay, for today, I'll talk about barriers in accessing justice and pathways to social justice. Okay. And in brief, maybe I'll talk about what I'm supposed to do as a police officer for this community to get justice. Hello? Hello?
Sorry, Rachel, I can hear some few background noise. Please, the ICT team, we are requesting if someone is not talking, kindly mute him mute him or her to avoid unnecessary engagements. Yes, so back to you, Rachel. Don't worry, the ICT team will be muting those who will be making some challenges.
Okay.
Proceed.
Okay, I'll talk about my duties as a police officer to make sure that this community get justice and pathways. Get justice, get justice. If we go to Article 4 of the Constitution, says the state shall not discriminate directly or indirectly against any person on any ground, including race or sex of anybody who has reported any case at the police station. Are we together?
Yes. Sure.
Are we together?
Yes, sure.
Okay. Now, as a police officer, okay, constitutionally, these sex workers universally, they are always universally abused in some cases, which means, this means they are mostly violated to accessing their services, mostly in police stations. Are we together?
Yes.
Yeah, you see, when you come to the police station has got so many sectors. We have the traffic sector, we have the gender care desk, we have the child protection unit, we have the DCI, we have so many sectors. So let's say a sex worker comes to report at the police station, Kondele police station, and he insists of maybe he has a police friend who is a traffic officer, who is not even trained on how he or she should handle these sex workers. But you find the survivor insisting, I have a friend, niko na polisi pale ambaye ni beshte yangu, yeye ndio nataka nishughulikie. And this police officer doesn't know any procedure on how to assist you. You see that one, your right is completely bad. You cannot get justice. Hello, are we together?
Yes, dear.
Unanipata?
Yes, we can get you clearly.
So that is number one thing that we should do. If you are a sex worker, when you walk into the station, we have the gender care desk. There are police officers who are equipped there. There are police officers who will assist you at the gender. It is not a must that I have to be your bottom friend to assist you. You have a case related to sex violated issue, you then report it at the petty crime office, you see? And sometimes you come to the station, you make a report, but you don't make a follow-up. I do phone calls. There are procedures of maybe me taking these cases to court. A P3 form has to be filled. Referral pathways, we have this GBVRC at Jaramogi. A P3 form has to be filled. A PRC form has to be filled. I have to write your statement. Now, you come to the station, yes, you record your report, you do your report, I do your report. And then now I tell you, you see, like as a trained officer on these matters, gender-based violence, I can see when I can at least naweza soma mtu akili, nione huyu saizi he's so much exhausted, he cannot do me the right statement I want. So I'll tell the person, okay, can we meet maybe in 2 hours time or maybe in 2 days time, or we shall communicate on when to meet and do your statement recording? The survivor doesn't come back. The survivor doesn't pick calls. The survivor, hello, are you getting me?
Yes, we are getting you.
Are you getting me right?
Yes, sure.
Okay. It comes to maybe I have arrested the perpetrator and taken the perpetrator to court. When it comes to bonding with these witnesses, for sex workers to get justice, okay, I bond witnesses. I call the witnesses that he or she himself brought me. They don't appear before court. sometimes they appear late, kama diary ya file imeitwa. They actually bonding of witnesses. I bond you to come and take your bond to attend court so that hearing can commence. Like for now, I have a file that I did in 2020, a gang rape case. And to date, the survivor hasn't never reported even a single day to the court. You can just see how embarrassed I am with the file. I tried searching for the survivor online. We communicated a little bit. She blocked me. I cannot access her. She has left me hanging with the file. The perpetrator comes to court every now and then, every mention, every hearing, every time. Now the magistrate asked me, why did you now bring this perpetrator to court? So this is just a joint exercise. We put our hands together. Referral pathways are all effective. More so GBVRC. When you come to Kondele police station and you make a report, actually there is this gender office. We do a report. P3 forms are filled free of charge. Hello?
Yes.
P3 forms are filled free of charge on daily basis for sexual offenses at GBVRC. And we don't charge even a little cent for the P3 form. And for survivors who have survived such can tell you at Kondele police station, or I doubt if there is any police station. It might only happen when you go and make a report to a police officer who is not suited for that work. Hello?
Yes, awesome. We are taking some notes.
Are we together?
Yes, sure.
When it comes to evidence collection, investigation, yes, sometimes I do visit scenes. We do visit scenes. And when we go to collect that evidence, you find that this survivor had already tampered with the evidences. Are we together?
Yes.
We go to the scene. Tunapata pengine survivor, hiyo nyumba alifanyiwa kitendo. We are bad from getting inside that house. And because it is a cognizable offense, we have to get court orders, and court orders mostly delay. So it is you, survivor, who has to work with us hand in hand as police officers. We are your assistants to get justice. When I tell you kindly report to my office so that we go visit the scene, I want to collect the bed sheet, I want to collect any material that I see is reasonable, maybe for forensic evidences to the government chemist, kindly appear and show me this place. There are some survivors that even hide the perpetrators away from us. We don't know why. Hello?
Yes.
So as police officers, we are very, very, very much committed in working together with the communities of sex workers. You are not discriminated. I've talked about legal rights, services and procedures. Under Article 48 of the Constitution, we shall ensure that you get access and justice for all persons, and we can never discriminate. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Proceed.
Yeah, so I think mine is that, and maybe I've even talked of challenges. I've talked of challenges when it comes to recording of statements. Actually, mostly we always assist these survivors to do their statements. Sometimes ukikuja, I can just get your story, your narration, and then now I get the flow, and then now I assist you in recording your statement because I need you to get justice, other than just giving you a paper and a pen and tell me, record how it happened. Usually at the police station, we do assist these survivors to record their statements. Hello?
Yes, proceed. We can hear you.
Yeah. I think I've spoken, and we shall ensure that we work together. Now, for challenges we are getting at the GBV, at the station center, maybe the office itself, the gender office, confidentiality. Hello? Saa zingine unapata things like P3 forms. We need to be doing them confidentially. We need to have some materials in the office. You do a P3 form, you unamjazia survivor. We don't need, you see, like now the government itself has not brought enough stationaries in. So it will need, we walk up and down looking for plain papers, looking for P3 forms, looking for what. So we would just need that if there is any well-wisher that can come in and maybe it related to a photocopy machine, materials, office materials, that we can do our things privately, can make these reports, people not be stigmatized to come in and make their report. Hello?
Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you so much. Back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Rachel. You are the most important person in this conversation, as you're from the gender desk, and your response some of the few social injustice issues which were shared live by some of the male sexual workers. So if you are sexual worker in this call, Rachel shared 3 main things. 1, you should know your rights very, very well. 2, you should know the Constitution in and out. And if possible, you need to work with the Constitution or be the working Constitution. Then the last part, follow the right procedures. What I can say is that you need to know how the system works and adopt the systems, because we cannot change these systems overnight. So to all the male sexual workers and female sexual workers, these are some of the basic things. 3 things: know your rights, have the Constitution with you, or know the main key part of the Constitution, and follow the right procedures. If you do this, no one will refuse to give you support, because they'll know that, whoa, this person knows his or her rights very, very well. So please note this down. Also, thank you, Madam Rachel, for sharing some of the challenges you are facing from accessing the survivors, and also some of the challenges, some of the administrative challenges from your office. Something I've been observing is that there's a main, or the biggest challenges is to tracing of survivors. We have this kind of challenge of tracing these kind of survivors. To me, I don't see it as a challenge. To me, I see it as an opportunity. And to Kisumu shiners, I think this is the opportunity we need to think. And because I think we have this kind of a community policing from our community, and I can see a very big gap between the policy, gender department, and the community policing sector. Because from my point, I know that there's chiefs from that locality, and there's the Nyumba Kumi elders and the village elders from the society. These are some of the people who can help to trace these survivors in a very easy way. So I feel like there is that kind of big gap between the police officers, the health officers, and the community policing. So we need to see how best we can bring them together, and we need to think how best we can strengthen collaboration for the effectiveness of the reporting and the tracing of the survivors, so that we make sure they have fully access to justice. Now, before we open this session to all the participants, I think we still have one of our speakers who had some challenges. I don't know if she's back with us. I think it's Georgina. Georgina, are you back with us? So that we just want to give you opportunity to finish your presentation before we open this dialogue to our participants and have a question and answer session. Georgina, are you with us? Georgina, are you with us? I think Georgina still have some challenges. We are sorry, Georgina. Just be at a good network position, then let us know once you are ready. Back to Mr. Ben. Maybe before I open this session to participants, I've been observing that there's a little bit challenge, mainly in the criminal justice system. And from this session, what's your observation? And what are some of the key things which you suggest that as Kisumu Shiners, we should focus on more? Back to you, Ben. Just 5 minutes, maybe just share your key observation, harvest, and key takeaways we should really observe and try to address them.
Thank you very much, convener. Now, I heard that the witness report. What can I say? The experiences of the two persons who have spoken about the experiences with the justice system, but it all boils down to one major fact, that all kinds of sex work for profit, or sex work for any sort of monetary gain, is actually outlawed in law. And this is why it makes it very hard to be able to protect the interest of any of sex workers, not only male sex workers, but female sex work in Kenya. So if there's anything that is to be done, it should go to the root of the problem. That is to maybe see how it can be legalized. Maybe if the specific laws can be challenged in court, and then maybe the court can give an advisory opinion on the said laws. Because as we all know, sex work has been there from time immemorial, but the same has been challenged, the same has been outlawed or has been criminalized in the legal scheme, which even makes it difficult. Like one of the survivors was talking about the fact that even when they go to lawyers, even the charges will go up, because, for example, if I'm to defend such a person in court, the one who was charged, maybe he was attacked in the course of his sex work. You see, what will happen now is that an issue will be raised that what was he doing by the time he was attacked? So you see, it is something which needs to be addressed, not only in Kisumu Shiners CBO, but as a whole in Kenya. So that we have a situation where, like there are countries like even the Netherlands, for example, or the Nordic countries, where it's actually legal to partake in sexual work, so that sex workers are protected not only from the vantage point of them being victims, but also them being perpetrators of crime. Because there's also another side of the coin which has not been addressed, where sex workers are also perpetrators of crime as well as victims of crime. So the only thing that I can add or I can say is that we need to go to the root of the problem. We can do all the sensitization we want on rights, because the Constitution should be read as a whole. You cannot take specific parts and take one part of the Constitution and you've not read it as a whole. So there are parts which talk about rights of rights of persons, but not rights of sex workers, you see. But at the end of the day, sex workers are humans and they also have human rights, but these rights should be codified in other subsidiary legislations to avoid the issue of discrimination of the sex workers. That's all I can say for now.
Okay,
Thank you very
so
much. Yes,
Mr. Ben, I highly appreciate. As you, something I can get from you is like a question: is sex workers legalized in Kenya? I think we really need to trigger this conversation and ask ourselves: is sex workers legalized in Kenya? And something I've learned from you, Mr. Ben, is that any kind of sex worker is kind of outlawed in Kenya, and there's need of having a lot of engagement with which will focus more from the root cause and see how best we can legalize the whole process. This brings the issue of policy intervention, and this will need a lot of experience and a lot of some policy advisors on board. So back to Kisumu Shiners, I think we still have a long process about this. Yeah. So I still maybe to ask Georgina, are you with us before we open the session to participants? Georgina, are you with us? Okay. For all the participants, maybe I can see some of you are requesting how best you can get the recorded version. Kindly, we have shared a link via chat. We are requesting to fill that participant list with your email and contact details so that we can send this recorded version to each one of you. So I'm reposting the link again. I have just reposted the link again via the chat box. We are requesting to fill that form so that you can get the recorded version for this session. If you have some challenges to access that link, please kindly let me know, and we will find the alternative way how best we can get your details to send the recorded version. Also, please help us to review this session via the same link, which we have a very brief survey. So please fill it and we will highly appreciate. So we are opening this session to all participants. If you have any question, suggestions, or if you like to contribute to this session, please feel free to unmute yourself and engage. Also, if you want to talk with the speakers and question them, this is your opportunity. So the debate is back to all the participants. Kindly, all the participants, if you have any question, feel free to unmute yourself and talk, or just use the chat box for quick engagements. Welcome.
Good morning, Arun.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Stephen.
Yeah, Stephen O'Quine here from Talent Africa. So this has been an awesome space. It has been an awesome conversation. And
you're most welcome.
Yeah, of importance is to look at what Indimuli has talked about in terms of the legal provisions, looking at living on the proceeds of sex work as a criminal offense, and also just to peg it on what Rachel also talked about in terms of really the provisions around human rights, and also by and large, I feel to some extent we're having a double-edged, like a double-edged sword kind of constitution that is appreciative of human rights in one perspective, and on the other perspective criminalizes human rights. So just to give a practical case scenario of being in a position to defend a legal suit in a court of law, while a sex worker is let me say the sex worker is seeking justice. Largely, you'll find a sex worker, also male sex workers, being prejudiced on the basis of gender, not really looking at it. If you look at a court of law, the way they adjudicate a case that is related to a female sex worker and the way they adjudicate it in relation to a male sex worker, there's a lot of discrimination in that perspective. And if we say that we are having a constitution that is progressive, then we must have, and of course, I'm directing you to Indimuli, we need to have constitutional provisions that are systemic in the sense that you cannot say that you uphold human rights in one perspective and then criminalize it in the other perspective. That to me seems as a very extreme prejudice on the rights of the male sex workers. And lastly, I also feel like what has been talked about in the instance of also sex workers being perpetrators of violence, I want to say that in so many cases, and statistics speak to this in reality, that most of those cases are always cases that are attributed to either self-defense or either protection from a perpetrator, and then because we cannot win a lawsuit in court, they are then looked at in the perspective of us being the offenders, like sex workers being the offenders. So I don't know at what point does the Constitution strike the balance? Over to you, Ndimuli and Rachel. Thank you.
Whoa. Thank you so much, Stephen. We highly appreciate. Maybe Ben and Rachel, do you have anything to share from what Stephen have just shared?
Well, Stephen, I can only talk from my own experience as a defender of perpetrators of victims of crime and as well as perpetrators of crime. For example, I'm sure you have been following what has been happening on the news TV, right? With regards to the so-called spiking of drinks. There were
most definitely, I'm so proactive in that space.
Okay, so you find that these were sex workers, well, maybe not particularly sex workers, but of course they were in the process of trying to earn a living and they spike people's drinks. But my view is that, my personal opinion is that the law as it stands, especially with relation to the GBV, gender-based violence, the same is basically tailored to deal with people who are maybe in heterosexual relationships primarily, and also with regard to children. This is where the sexual offenses come in. And which takes me back to my primary argument. Because so long as we fix the issue of legalizing sex work, once the same has been fixed, courts will have no choice but to listen to a case on its merits. You understand? Because once it is legal, because right now it has been criminalized. Once it is legal, whether a male sex worker or a female sex worker will be open to cover under that law. But as it stands, there is no legality regarding all forms of sex work in Kenya, and which makes it very difficult to defend such cases or to even achieve justice in such cases. That is why you find that there was a time there was uproar over sexual offenses towards children, which now gave birth to the Sexual Offences Act, which specifically deals with minors. You understand? Now, with regard to sex work, my stand is that so long as the same has not been addressed, we'll always be having all sorts of the problems that the police officer was talking about, and even the problems with the legal regime or in courts in Kenya. So until that is rectified, because even, for example, the sex workers themselves might also be victims of not only crime, but also, for example, they might be trafficked. You find that maybe they are being held against their will, or for example, the proceeds that they get are all being confiscated by some other shadowy force, so that even the sexual worker himself of his or her labor. So until that, the primary work is legalized, we'll always be coming back to these sorts of arguments that we're having today. And that's all I can say for now.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ben. I can see there's a question from the chat from Lizzie Koswa. Lizzie, she's asking, what's the difference between legalizing sex work and discrimination of sex work? Maybe Ben, can you help Lizzie to understand this?
Okay, thank you very much. Now, if sex work is legalized, for example, there's a provision that allows maybe for sex, because the Constitution talks about rights, everybody having rights to having human rights. But you find that sex work, that like the penal code, talks about nobody can gain from proceeds of crime. So once sexual work is legalized, somebody can go to court and challenge this particular provision in the penal code rather, which talks about which decriminalizes sex work. I don't know if I'm making sense. Yes. Because all subsidiary laws are, like, for example, the Penal Code, the Sexual Offences Act, and all other acts are subservient to the Constitution. And any other act that is not in tandem with the Constitution is null and void to the extent that it does not follow or ascribes to the Constitution. So once the Constitution legalizes sex work, for example, no other subsidiary legislation can come and decriminalize it, because you even find that there are county laws, not only the penal code, but the various counties have enacted laws which target sex workers. So once the primary law the primary law legalizes the act, no other subsidiary law can come and declare it or criminalize it. I don't know if I've answered her question, this question. Maybe she can inform me if she has understood what I'm trying to say.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Ben, for responding to that question. We highly appreciate for providing this kind of law issues, whereby I can see we have some penal code acts, we have some sexual offense act, we have some county laws. Well, there's a lot of things we need to learn so that we be safe. As in Kenya, the best way to be safe in Kenya, you need to learn these laws and let them be at your fingerprints. I think that's very, very crucial. Thank you so much, Ben. Any other person? If you have any question, feel free to unmute yourself and talk, or also feel free to use the chat box.
I'm also seeing Mr. Stephen. Stephen, if you can hear me, I have just seen a message that you have put on the chat box. I was just giving an example. I'm not saying that every sex worker or the sex work movement is criminal. You'll even find that many people have been educated through sex work. Many people, including the people who vehemently oppose sex work in public, are beneficiaries of sex work. This is something that you can also, something that everybody knows. I'm not saying that the Michelle story was just an analogy. There are differences because the law is supposed to protect everyone, not only the sex worker, but also the consumer of the sex work. So it's not by any means, I'm not criminalizing or branding the entire sex work movement as criminal. I hope that is clear.
Yes, thank you. Thanks so much for your response. I can see Mr. Joseph Mackenzie. I don't know if I have pronounced your name well. Sorry if I pronounced it wrong. He's asking, the fact that sex work is illegal and a sex worker faces violence now, how will she be treated while accessing to justice? So I think this question will get back to Mr. Ben and Madam from the gender desk, if she can help us to provide an overview from this. So Mr. Rachel Akoff and Mr. Ben, if you can help us respond to this question from Joseph. He's asking, the fact that sex work is illegal and a sex worker faces violence now, how will he be treated while accessing justice? So maybe Madam Rachel or Ben, feel free to respond to this question.
Mr. Joseph, as I usually say, buildings start from a foundation. I like explaining things to people using analogies. So the context of violence also depends. If, for example, you faced, this is just my own view. If you faced violence while in the course of the sex work, and or rather, there was some other survivor who was talking about being a cross-dresser and all that. Maybe the cross-dresser was just walking, minding his own business in town, and then they are attacked for some reason. Somebody did not like the way they were dressing, and they were attacked. So those are two different scenarios. Because if you are attacked while performing an illegal act, the perpetrator might have a valid defense, might be having it. The case might not be so straightforward in favor of the sex worker if they were attacked or violence was perpetrated against them in the course of their duties. For example, let me put it this way: we all know that murder is a crime, right? And if you engage with a murderer, let's say person X, you do an agreement with the murderer to tell him to go and murder somebody, let's say person Y. Then this guy takes your money and he does not do the deed, you see. So can you go and enforce that agreement in a court of law saying that I gave person X this amount of money and he was supposed to go and murder person Y. So I gave him like 1 million, for example, that's for argument's sake. I gave him 1 million to murder person X, you see. So he did not carry out that duty, you see. No, a court cannot enforce such a contract because it is illegal from the core, from the root cause, you see. So all parties in a transaction involving sex, which is sex for money, that is, in my view, if it's sex for money and there's some sort of violence perpetrated, it might be hard. I'm not saying that I'm supporting sex violence against sex workers in the course of their duties, but it might be hard in a court because a court of law looks at the law, because it will address the fact, okay, yes, you are attacked. You are attacked while we are doing what, you see, while I was in the process of providing sexual services. So it becomes difficult in that regard. Meanwhile, this other person who was attacked, let's say a cross-dresser for argument's sake, if he was attacked while not engaged in any form of sex work, that is different because that's now an assault. So long as he can identify the person who has attacked him or her, and he has been able to procure the necessary medical evidence from the doctors, that is a straightforward case of assault or gender assault causing grievous bodily harm and the like. So that is my take on that. I don't know if I've answered Mackenzie well. Maybe you can give me back a feedback.
Sure. Thank you so much, John. Rachel, do you have anything to add? Rachel Lakoff, do you have anything to add?
Hello?
Yes, Madam Rachel, sorry.
Yes, I'm Rachel. Are you getting me?
Yes, we are getting you clearly.
Okay, for the question that has been asked, I've seen Ben answer it, but what I'll just add on top of it a little bit, that I am a law enforcing officer. Are we together?
Yes.
And I've not gone through the whole constitution to know whether sex is legalized, but the only thing I can do is when you do sex for money and in the process you are assaulted, I can chip in for the criminal part of it, that is assault, and maybe do court proceeds for the criminal part of it. So Ben has answered it, but it's a bit challenging. Maybe if we go back to the drawing board and talk about it further.
Okay, thank you so much, Madam Rachel. I think now we still have one of the major questions. Is sex work legalized in Kenya? I think we need to think about that topic, and we need to trigger that topic a little bit deeper, and we need to have a lot of experienced people in the law sector to provide us with our opinions and key insights concerning the wide part of this topic, because I think that's where the root cause of everything begin. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for this session. Maybe to give the last opportunity, is Georgina with us? I think, Georgina, you have not yet do presentation. Georgina, are you with us? Georgina, are you with us? As you're waiting for Georgina, I can see Evelyn, you raise your hands. Please, Evelyn, you can unmute yourself and engage.
Thank you, Haruna. So Georgina is not with us. Her network is very poor. She's unable to continue. But I have two questions. One for Ben and one for Rael Oko. Mr. Indimuli, I do agree that we need to go back to the root of it all, which is the constitution of the law, because it becomes a challenge to access justice when the law is not on our side, or we don't have specific laws to help us as rights of sex workers. But then also we recognize that the process of coming up with policies and making them into laws is a process that takes time. So as a professional, before we get there, I've been assaulted as a sex worker. Before we get to a point where we have laws that can protect us, what can we do? Because at this point, it feels like we're at a dead end, whereby even most of the people in our community are scared to report because of this specific issue, whereby you're going to be discriminated against because it's not in the law for moral purposes, and also it's not in the law. So what can we do before then? What can you advise from a personal point of view and a professional point of view? My next question is towards Ms. Rael Ouko. I just want to understand the basic, what cases do you classify under GBV from the gender desk in Kondele Station, or generally in Kenya? What cases are classified under GBV? The reason why I'm asking, so when do I know where to report? When do I know that this falls under GBV and this is just violence, general violence? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Evelyn. So maybe we can start with Rachel, Rael Oko. I can see you've raised your hand. You can share your opinion and also answer the question from Evelyn concerning the classification of some cases.
Okay, thank you so much, Evelyn. That is a good question. So I'll talk of cases that you can come to report at the gender office. We have women who are violated sexually. That is sexual, gender-based violence. We have gender-based violence cases where maybe mkiwa tu kwa nyumba, mwanaume amekupiga. We call them domestic violence. We have sex workers as a whole, both male and female. Yeah, and gender office is gender is a role. So we serve both male and female who feel their rights have been violated. Are we together, Evelyn?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
So you have gotten me. So for domestic violence, sexual gender-based violence, gender-based violence, your rights have been violated as a human, as a male or as a female, you are welcome at the Kondele Gender Desk. Hello?
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Rael.
Okay, and then maybe you share the link again so that we fill in the form.
Okay, we have just reposted the link again, no problem. Back to you, Ben.
Thank you very much. In a short answer to what Evelyn has just asked, I think we all know that sex work. It's unfortunate, but that those sex work has always been here with us from time immemorial. The same is still yet to have in a form of legal basis or justification upon which all forms of sex work are maybe are legalized. For now, if for my part, just it will be just prudent to continue lobbying, and maybe if possible, if resources are found, maybe we can come up with maybe we can petition. Maybe we can do a petition or something like that to see if the same can be made legal. Maybe even within the framework of, remember the so-called attempt to change the constitution. Maybe some of these things can also be brought up when the movers of such initiatives come going around looking for people to support them in terms of votes. You know, when they are moving the agendas to amend the constitution. That's what I can just say for now. But meanwhile, with regard to violence, I will maybe sex workers just I don't know, because it's sometimes you can say it's impossible to screen somebody to know if you can be a victim of violence, because even some of us have been even from my own experience defending people like, for example, even as Rael has said, violence can come from any quarter, not only in terms of where you're working, even from family members and the like. So I think it's just prudent if we are to, it's a long road, but if you are to see how we can lobby even parliamentarians, lobby our local MCAs, because MCAs control the narratives in the county. If the same can, and they can make laws even in the county level, so as to see if the same can be legal as from ground up. Then we can find a way forward as we continue the long struggle. That's what I can say.
Thank you so much, Ben, for sharing this key recommendation. Yeah, I will support you that this is the right time as Kenya is heading to the general election. It's time that all sex workers to regroup and come together and trying to approach these politicians and trying to push our message so hard to them. We can target the members of county assembly for the county government. And also we need to also target the members of parliament and see how best we can push this message. I believe that if we regroup ourselves and organize ourselves very well and push our voices via media or via social media, they will listen to us, they will approach us, and we will be in a very good position to sell our thoughts to them, to tell our voice to them. So as you all know, this is the process. It's not a one-time event. So let's not get tired. One day we'll get justice. So before I welcome Polycarp Okeo, who is the director for Kisumu China CBO, I would like to give opportunity to three participants to ask question, recommendation, suggestion, or share anything they would like to share. So I can see there is Kulthum. I don't know if Kulthum, I don't know if I have pronounced your name well, sorry. It's a little bit tough. Then we have Samuel Omondi. Then we will finish with Rael Ouko. Yeah, so let's do that in that order. The rest, just use the chat box. Thank you.
Yes, it's Courtney.
Oh,
So
sorry. Thank you.
my question goes to the police. We also want to know that how many number of maybe female sex workers have reached.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kotum. Before we welcome Rael Ouko, Samuel Omondi, do you have anything to share?
Yes, for me, I would just want to add something on gender-based violence. What is considered gender-based violence or gender-based violation? Because Madam Rachel addressed the sexual and the physical aspect, but we know that we also have the emotional aspect of violence, whereby an example is name calling, which might stress someone or even lead to depression. We also have economic kind of violence, whereby you find that a woman is restricted in terms of access to funds and even movement. So that leads me to the question. We've really focused on sexual and physical violence. So like law enforcement officers, how do you really economic violence? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Before I welcome Raila Oko, I'm welcoming the last person, and that will be Samuel Omondi. Samuel Omondi, do you have a question to ask before we welcome Raila Oko?
I've just spoke.
Oh, sorry. Kutum, I can see Kutum, and I can see you still, your hand is still up. Do you have anything to add? If not, then let me welcome Raila Oko to answer this question and share some opinion and some recommendation on the way forward. Raila Oko, back to you.
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you.
Maybe if you again come with the question, I didn't get it well.
Katin, are you with us? Hello, Katin, are you with us, Katin? Samuel Omondi, can you repeat your question again, please?
Okay, my question was from Madam Rad, how she was describing what is considered gender-based. She majored on sexual and physical violations. So my question is, what reporting emotional kind of violence maybe, yeah, and economic violence in terms of restriction to access to funds and even movement? Thank you.
Okay, back to you, Raila Oko. I can see also you raise your hand, Raila Oko, so feel free to answer and share your opinions and recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. About the abuses of gender-based violence, I'll only talk of violations that we can handle at the station level or maybe as the national police level. Are we together?
Yes.
So we have physical abuse. That is when you are abused physically, we do we can do a P3 form that is filled by a doctor at any government hospital, and the perpetrator is taken to court. That is for physical abuse. We have psychological abuses. For psychological abuse, that is when we have all these referral pathways. We can connect you by a counselor who can talk to you and maybe psychologically talk to you and know what problem you have and convince you on how you can do about with the kind of problems you have. Because actually at the police station level, you know, most people understand police stations as vulgar places. So when you come to the office and maybe I try talking to you at my lowest tone, ile mind ulisha set police station ni mahali mbaya haiwezi toka. So convincing you, psychologically talking to you about some abuses inakuwa ngumu. Hello?
Hello.
So for that, usually we refer to GBVRC again. There are counselors there who do family counseling. They do every kind of counseling and therapy, I think at a free cost of charge. Hello?
Hello, yes.
And again, we have psychological, we have emotional, we have physical. I think I've spoken emotionally. We have emotional abuse. For emotional abuse, literally, when we say we want to maybe lock every husband and wife or every person who has been abused physically into the cells, atungekuwa na amani Kondele ama Kisumu mzima, because we cannot just keep locking all husbands and wives who have violated each other's rights. Mostly for that, we find alternative dispute resolutions for such cases. Literally, we can talk to both of them. We can leave both of them to talk. We can give them a period. We do for perpetrators what we call compellers of attendance. We compel them, we leave them to talk, maybe to understand amongst themselves, or maybe we bring in the family, their parents, their grandparents, to talk to them and maybe drop some charges against them. Or maybe waende tu nyumbani, waongeleshwe na wazazi ama na chief, vitu kama hizo. Are we together?
Yes.
So for that, mostly for family issues, mostly like for me, Raila Court, I always find alternative dispute resolutions for the problems, unless otherwise the crime is so major. Pengine umevunjwa mkono, umemwagiwa maji moto. But kama ni ile tu ya kuchuna masikio, I always find alternative dispute resolution to such cases.
Okay, thank you so much, Rael, for your parting shot. So before I welcome Polycarp Okeo as the director, let me first give the opportunity to all speakers to give their party shot. We have Samuel Omondi, clinician, who shared the procedural of how you can report everything, the whole process. We have Raquel Okeo, who talk a lot about barriers in accessing to justice. We have Ben, who talk about criminal justice system in Kenya. And then we have Georgina Waseka. So all the speakers, we are requesting if you can give your party shots, just brief. You have only 3 minutes. Like, what's your recommendation and what's your way forward from this conversation? So you can just unmute yourself and share your party shots. You have 3 minutes only. So let's start with Samuel Omondi. Samuel Omondi.
So once again, thank you very much for this very informative discussion. I've really learned a lot in terms of law, and basically, I'm also looking forward to just make sure that we do our best from our end. That is, try hard and not stigmatize or even give services that are of quality to both genders whenever they are violated. And also, I would really have such forums often so that we can really discuss on our gains and what needs to be done. So once again, thank you, and more discussions in future.
Thank you so much, Samuel Omondi, for requesting for more spaces of engagement and this kind of discuss. Next person. Rael Akoth Oko, maybe do you have a part shot, just brief your recommendations, suggestion, and way forward? 3 minutes only.
Okay. I'm so much grateful for the chance, maybe to share whatever we do at Kondele Police Station. I'm very, very much grateful. So what I pray is that we strengthen the referral pathways, starting from the survivors themselves. We strengthen the pathways so that we get justice for all these survivors, and we get justice for everybody, for all of them. Otherwise, you are most welcome at Kondele Police Station. When you come, you will be served with due diligence and most respected. You are most welcome.
Thank you so much, Rael, for your recommendation of strengthening the referral pathways for the survivors to have access to justice. We highly appreciate, and we have documented. Next person, Ben.
Thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity to be part of this discussion. Though it was short notice, but I still thank you. Further, I would like to, as on my part, I would like to encourage all the sex workers to, once they face GBV, despite of all the stigma and all that, to try and continuously report all these occurrences, so that once it is, once it is deemed to be a problem, something has to give. There's no struggle which has come without a price, and we should all pay the price for seeking an ideal. So if it's highlighted as a problem and it comes out clearly as a problem, something will be done about it. It will even give even more impetus for championing its legalization, because it will be identified as a problem, and the problem will, people will now be looking for solutions to deal with the problem. So that's all I can say for now. Thank you so much, and may have many other discussions over the same. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ben, for your parting shots. As you all hear, that we really need to report all these cases, no matter what is being happened, or no matter how we are being discriminated. So please always report these cases. If you feel you cannot report to the police station, we have the Kisumu Shiners who will help on the reported parts and for the victim protection. So don't worry about it. Please report. As you know, it's simple. We need to have a problem before bring the solutions on board. Kindly, let's keep reporting. I think we have the last person, Georgina Wasike. Do you have any parting shots? Do you have any parting shots? Okay, if Georgina is not with us, before I welcome Polycarp, allow me, I can see there's a hand from Edwin and there's a hand from Kisumu Shiners. Please, just briefly, maybe you can share what you like to share to the larger audience. Let me start with Edwin first. Edwin?
Okay, thank you very much, Edwin Gube. I've been following keenly the conversation that has been going on, and I'm glad that we were able to have this together. It's very fruitful indeed. I really just wanted to maybe share with us that maybe I feel it's important for us now that we're in the electioneering period, and the election is just around the corner. Maybe it's time for us also to think around the security matters as for us as sex workers. Then how is it that we stay safe beyond just the physical areas or the physical networks that we have? So part of this maybe to think about what are those technological solutions that we can embrace right now to ensure that as a community we are safe, and even as we engage and transact, we are useful and we are comfortable. So maybe that is what maybe I would like us to think about. But indeed, I'm very grateful and honored to be part of conversation that has been going on today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Edwin, for raising this important issue for the security part. Guys, as you all know, security starts with us, so we need to make sure that we are all secure at both individual and group levels. So take care of yourself and take care of your friends as we champion for our rights. Cool. Now allow me to welcome there's someone by the name Kisumu Shiners. Please, I can see you have raised your hand. You are welcome to share your opinion before I welcome Director Paul Kapokeo. Kisumu Shina, I can see you raise your hand.
Thank you, Mr. Harry. I just wanted to bring our attention towards one burning topic, and which is trafficking, sex workers trafficking. Yeah. As we all know, the previous years we've had a crazy pandemic, and because of that, we've had economic fallout in different countries. And because of this, we've found that sex workers have been more vulnerable to exploitation of trafficking here at home, different cities, and even abroad. And so my question is to the legal administration and the social justice department, are there some legal procedures in these institutions that can stop trafficking, and also for those victims that have been trafficked and have come back home, to stop them from being re-trafficked, because it's very possible? And also to us as organizations and individuals, what are some procedures or solutions that we can suggest in order to help this group that have been vulnerable to trafficking and re-trafficking? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Maybe were you asking one of the speaker director, or is just an open question?
Yes, I was asking to the two speakers, which is Ms. Ryle from Kondele Police Station for legal procedures, and Ms. Gina, but she's not here, to talk about the social department, what they're doing to help us in this, and also to us as individuals and organizations, what can we actually do to help, because these cases actually exist.
Okay, thank you so much. Because of time, allow me to direct this question to Ben. I feel like Ben, you can respond to this question perfect, because it's focusing more on the trafficking of commercial sex workers. Then also allow me to direct this question direct to Rael Akot Ouko. I feel like this question also directs you, like have you been documenting any cases of commercial sex workers being trafficked, and what action have you taken? So yeah, we have like 5 minutes each to respond to this question. Back to you.
Okay, any form of trafficking is
unconstitutional.
It's unconstitutional in Kenya, contrary to Article 30 of the Constitution. I don't know if you have if the speaker has any specific instances, because if you can be able to inform the law enforcement authorities on instances where people are being trafficked, something can be done. As for the persons who are trafficked abroad, well, it starts with, if you have any information with regard to that, it can also be directed to the traffic and the legal enforcement authority, that is the police, who, if any, can be able to get a hold of, because if people are trafficked, normally they're held against their wish, and they are forced to come to do things which are against their wish. So if, on my view, that's my personal view, is that if you have any information, if the same can be forwarded to the relevant authority, something can be done, because it's an offense under the law to traffic people in Kenya and even abroad. That's all I can say at this moment.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ben. Rael, do you have anything to add?
Actually, I have nothing much to add, but for trafficking is unconstitutional, just like it has been said. but for only reported cases. When a case is reported, that is why we have offices, different offices in the police station. I think the DCI office can always do that effectively, because they are the people who have every system of maybe getting the culprits. They have everything that it entails to get the culprits. So through the children's office, we can always work together. Through the gender office, we can work together hand in hand with the DCI to make sure that all culprits are brought to book. As per now, I haven't seen any case reported of sex worker being trafficked in Kondele, but in case there is one, if a report is made, I'll make sure it is investigated effectively. Back to you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining this session. Thank you for our speakers for giving us a clear light and share with us your knowledge, best practices, experiences, and key recommendation in how best we can make these spaces to be safe and inclusive to everyone. So as we're about to end this session now, allow me to welcome Polycarp Okeo, who is the director of Kisumu Shainas CBO, to share opinion, recommendations, and give some of the closing remarks for this session. Polycarp, if you can hear me, please unmute yourself and take over the session. Sorry, Polycarp, you are muted. Kindly unmute yourself.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, Yemwadime and the rest of the team members. But before I say anything, I'd like to welcome someone from African Sex Workers Alliance to say something. Representative from ASWA Alliance, please say something. ASWA, African Sex Workers Alliance.
Good morning and good morning, everybody. Thank you for inviting us to this event and allowing us to listen in. We would like to commend the good work that the organization is doing, especially with working with the police, sensitizing the police and the community. And this is a very key theme in terms of today's theme, that is access to justice. So I think the deliberations and the discussions that you're having and the panel that is speaking truly reflects the theme of the day, and keep up the good work.
Thank you so much, representative from African Sex Workers Alliance.
So my name is Rose Wanjiko. I'm the policy and advocacy officer at ASWA.
Asante sana. Thank you so much. Someone from Anza Mapema, Dan Okal. I saw Dan Okal from Anza Mapema.
Thank you, Polycarp. This was a very interactive session and very informative as well. I would really want to appreciate this kind of engagement, and I think we should have more of this so that issues that are coming up, like the biggest concern now, the approaching elections and what Gumbe had talked about, can be nipped in the bud and taken care of in good time. Otherwise, thank you so much, and look forward to more engagement.
Asante sana, Dan Okal. I've seen someone from Coast Sex Workers Alliance. Please say something. Someone from Coast Sex Workers Alliance, Liz. Okay, maybe Liz is still busy, but okay, thank you so much for joining this meeting. This is a very special day to us as Kisumu Shiners organization that works with the sex workers and as the sex workers as a whole in the entire world. As the theme today is access to justice. And I'm really, really happy having had speakers from the police, from the Social Justice Center, our clinician, among others. They play a very, very important role in ensuring that sex workers get justice in all the sectors that are very, very vital. Yeah, so this day is very, very special to us as an organization, and we do not take it lightly. And based on the discussion and the recommendation that have been made as a program, we are really going to make sure that our sex workers get justice and are able to get services. Issues of violence has been a great concern to us, even at Kisumu Shiners organization. And we've had, for the past few months, we've had a number of cases of violence, be it verbal violence, psychological violence, among others. And having worked with the police closely and also the Social Justice Center, it is a plus to us. Why? Because even as we get our paralegals responding to these cases, then it's not very problematic as compared to before when we didn't have such networks. So we really appreciate people like Raquel and also Georgina, our able clinician, and also our able lawyer for making it even easier for us for the justice pathways. So we continue to learn as an organization and to also have as many strategic partners as possible because we cannot do it alone. Otherwise, we will still have more of these, and we welcome you in our next webinars and also physical meetings. If we call you, please avail yourselves. Otherwise, this has been a fruitful meeting, and I'm really looking forward to even having more of these engagements because I know one meeting is not enough. We still need more of these for us to even strengthen referral pathways for our beneficiaries or our constituents, who are people that we serve in our various fields. Otherwise, thank you, and thank you so much for this, for attending this important webinar, and yeah, looking forward to more of these. Back to you, Mwadim.
Okay, thank you so much, Polycarp, for your closing remarks and also inviting some of these special guests who managed to participate in this session and get some key insights. For me, I don't have much to share, but just a recommendation or suggestion. As you all know, we are heading to the general election, and this general election are a little bit unique because at the national level, there's a shift of the administration, and at the county level also, I'm aware most of the county will be having a very new governors, and some will have the second term governors. So we need to take advantage of this. Also, I would like to inform you concerning the ongoing national policy issues, mainly the County Integrated Development Plan, CIDP. I'm requesting each one of you to try to know concerning the County Integrated Development Plan and try to make sure you participate in the whole process so that your voice are being captured. This is the most important process for all of us, and I'm requesting that we need to be a little bit not only active but proactive and engaging ourselves in a constructive way. Remember that if your voice is not captured on the County Integrated Development Plan, then there's a possibility that your voices won't be listened for the next 5 years. So guys, I'm challenging each one of you to own your space and take these spaces and share your views, opinion, and be part of this process. Because if you want to be part of this process, we might end up blaming the government always, and I don't think if we should be on that part. Instead, we should always be giving some solution. So policy and advocacy side, it's now very, very crucial, and this is our year. So guys, that's my suggestion to you. And that's my recommendation to each one of you, either at individual, organization, or group level. Thank you so much. So at this moment, I think we have finalized our conversation, and we have managed to document all key insights and all key recommendations which we will be working on. And also, I'm sure that the communication person is doing the documentation and the harvesting part of it. So don't worry. So please, I'm giving you 5 minutes to kindly request you to fill the form on the chat box. Please click the link, fill that form, and share your opinion concerning this session. For those who are asking concerning the recorded version for this session, it will be shared via your email. Please make sure you capture your email well via that form. It has been just shared. Please make sure you fill that form. It's very crucial and it's very critical. So my name is Harun Modena Miesi, and I'm giving this platform back to Kisumu China CBO. The ICT team, you can take over and end the session. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Yes, sorry. Someone wants to talk something?
Yeah. I just wanted to request. I'm finding problems with the telephone number entry. It's telling me 0 to 0, so it can't take. I don't know what the problem. I don't know if anybody else is facing that problem with this form.
Okay, if you are having challenges for the phone number, okay, I think the ICT team can respond to this.
Okay. Apologies if you had that error. I have fixed it. We fixed it, and you can now. It's now okay, so you can go on and fill it. Let me just share the link once more. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so thank you, everyone. I think we have managed to achieve our 3 main objectives for this session, which was to connect to each other. Hope you have made your connection very well. You established a new connection. You have made with someone new. The next point was more of the co-creation. We have co-created some of the best policy intervention recommendation, which we can use for the next intervention. And lastly, collaboration. We hope that we will strengthen collaboration after this session, both at organization, institutional, and also bring different kinds of stakeholders, both the legal sector, who are very important, and also the government official on board, so that we can trigger the conversation further. So to me, I feel like the event is so awesome, and we have managed to achieve our goals. Thank you so much, guys. You are all awesome. I appreciate. So the ICT team, you can give us the way forward, or you can end the session, but also feel free to share your social media link. If you are in LinkedIn, please share your LinkedIn link. I would like to connect with each one of you who are in LinkedIn. If you're on Twitter, I would like to connect with each one of you. Feel free to share your social media link, and let's connect. You never know. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. It's been a wonderful session, and I hope everybody who had expectations, your expectations have been met. And if some of them have not been met, as we said, we should have more of these sessions. And when we do have these sessions, please do join us, and never be shy to ask any question, to put in your input. All right. So yeah, that's it for the day. Thank you, everybody. You can leave the meeting. And if you have any questions for Kisumu Shiners, you can always reach us on our social media accounts, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Kisumu Shiners CBO, and our emails as well that we will share with you on the forms. And even here, if you can quickly copy and save it.
Yes, thank you so much, guys. You're now free after you fill the form. You now feel free to leave, and you receive the recorded version via your email. No worries. Thank you, and see you next few weeks or month for the next session. Hello, for the ICT team, I request if you can stop the recording and if you can end the session, we'll appreciate